It is a transformation.
Saying, hi, come on in.
People look at other people who are seasoned. Greetings from Chicagoland. Hi, everybody. This is Munira from Munira's Musings, welcoming another guest to our show. Our guest today is Chrissy Mellinger, all the way from the state of Delaware. Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm great, Munira. How are you?
Good. So this is a show, Munira's Musings, where every story is more than just a story. It's a spark that can light a way to change. Each week, we sit down with a remarkable guest whose journeys will reveal lessons, insights, and fresh perspectives. And that might just challenge your thinking a little bit. But this isn't just about listening. It's about pausing down to jot down the ideas that resonate with you and then finding ways to bring them to life in your own world. Because real growth begins with inspiration, and inspiration give way to action, what today's conversation will unfold. So, Chrissy, welcome to Munira's Musings. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. A little bit about me. So I have definitely had multiple spurts of inspiration across my life. Right now, I'm a business consultant for primarily women-owned service-based businesses, holistic health and wellness providers, energy workers, anyone here with the mission to really change their industry. But really, I've had this spark of entrepreneurship for almost 30 years. I had an idea when I was 8 that I wanted to open my own spa resort, and I spent the next 20 years building that. Went into finance, went into hotels for a long time, and then the pandemic hit, hotels were shuttered, and I said, you know what, I'm not just going to sit here, I'm going to go do something else. And that led into business coaching and consulting, and I love it. I get to help other people change the world while I hang out with my dogs and my husband at my house.
That's awesome. So, right, you look very young. So, and you said 30 years. So, I'm putting some math together. We're not going to ask you how old you are, but so the fact is that you had a spa. Did you have a spa?
I did. And I can't tell you where it came from. I was sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table. She had a friend over and it was the three of us having tea together, right? As we did. And
at a 8-year-old age? Tea?
Yes. 8. Yeah. I loved tea. And I just had this idea that I need to have a spa resort. And I went the whole thing, nails and hair and mud baths. I was obsessed with mud baths, and I have no idea why, because I had never even gotten my nails done at that point. But I wanted there to be this space where people could go relax, where they could go have fun. And it bloomed for a long time into this big, it was going to be this retreat space with horses and a garden and walking paths. And it was just this whole beautiful thing that really kind of led me down the path of getting into hospitality and how do I help people travel and how do I help people enjoy their lives more. And it sounds like there was a break from hospitality to coaching and consulting, but the through line is still the same of I help people live their lives and enjoy more of their lives. It's just not here, go into a retreat space for a weekend and unplug. Now it's how do you create a life that you're happy with every day and not you have to unplug from it.
You are a very happy person then.
Most of the time, I'm still human.
Okay, because most people get frustrated, and what you are doing is helping entrepreneurs. From what I understand, I understand that what you are doing is you help entrepreneurs figure out what this is that they want to do in life, and then how to do it effectively so they can have the freedom and not be in their business all the time, but they work on their business. Right? Am I right?
100%.
So how did you learn all of this? You had a spa, you were in this spa business since the age of 8. At the age of 8, how did you start working through that? I mean, anybody who, even as an adult, if you want to start that, first of all, tell us when you started, what time, you had an idea, but how long did it take you to have a full implemented spa? But then what were the nuances and what are the things that you went through in that business before we go to the next step?
Yeah, so I never did. I still have all of my notebooks and all of my plans for Paradise Spa. That was the name of it. But I never actually opened it. because I had the idea at 8. I went to undergraduate school for finance and economics, spent 2 years in finance, then entered the hotel world where I worked in the back office, essentially revenue management. And it was in that I was like, I actually don't want to have a spa. I don't want to be the person in charge of it. I don't want to deal with the front office complaints and all of that. So I never actually had the spa. But I learned in trying to build towards that dream, I learned all of the back office. I learned how to run a business. I had retail jobs. I had serving jobs. I had finance. Like I said, I was in hedge fund administration for a few years. I worked back office hotels, which meant I understood the marketing. I understood the strategy. I understood how to get the operations up and running. So while I never actually built my spa, I learned everything that went into it. And it's from that I realized what I actually love to do is the back building of it, of how do we put systems and structures in place so that it works. I just don't necessarily want to be the person up front saying, hi, come on in. I want to be the person behind it, making it work.
Okay. So how many people, how many ladies, women-owned businesses have you had go through this change, if you will? Because it is a transformation.
It is. Over the past year, I've worked with about 165 different businesses.
Okay. And what kind of businesses have you worked?
So many. So there have been registered dietitians, authors, artists, hairstylists, hair salon owners. I've had coaches, mindset coaches, business coaches, relationship coaches, a lot of Reiki energy workers, multidimensional healers, a lot of different service-based providers, some copywriters, Akashic record readers, lots of energy work and lots of service provider, holistic health and wellness.
Okay, so what is it with all of these different industries, people that you work with? I mean, I'm going to ask you to drill down, right? So you said work with systems. Now, hotels have systems, back offices have systems. So what systems are you talking about? What is it that one person needs to do? Because there are people out there looking for a business all the time. And then we know by statistics that most businesses do not thrive after 5 years, or they are closed down. So what is it that you are telling them that they should do so that they are able to thrive?
Yeah, so my approach is 3 different pillars. The first one is revenue. So it's how do you make money, which for many entrepreneurs, they think it's just a matter of what am I selling, but that's actually a really narrow perspective that takes a lot of other opportunities off the table. So the first system we look at is revenue, is how are you making money in your business? The second system is marketing. How are you communicating about your business? And where a lot of entrepreneurs get hung up with marketing is thinking that they have to be on social media, or they have to be on podcast guesting, or that they have to do any certain thing, that there are rules. My whole approach is wherever you want to be, we can make it work. It just has to be aligned with your vision of how your life works. If you're someone that wants to be on social media 24/7, awesome, great, let's do it. If you don't want to constantly creating content, social media probably isn't the thing for you. Let's figure out a different path. So that's the second system, is actually getting your marketing in a place where it's scalable and repeatable. And the third one is operations. And the third one is the one where it's a little bit more nuanced to each individual business. But the operations are, how does the business run as a business? And this, where people get hung up here, is they think, I'm a solopreneur, I'm a one-person shop, I've got to do everything. I don't have anyone to delegate to. But you still want to run a business, not a side business or a hustle or things like that. So it's how do we create automations and workflows and standard operating procedures so you know exactly what you're doing on any given day, and the business can run without you as much as possible. So that's what I focus on: revenue, marketing, and operations.
I like that. So you said something that's really important. You said people should not be on social media if they don't want to. If that is not the case, what can they do if they're not in any of the platform? Because social media is so huge right now. Even the president is on social media.
Social media is huge, and it has embedded itself in, it's 2025. everything we do, you can connect to Facebook or you can live stream it or anything like that. But if you think about how long business has been around, like commerce, trade, barter has been around since the dawn of mankind. Social media has been here for like this much of that, very little. So there's still so many other ways. You can speak, right? Podcast guesting. You can go to summits. You can write blog articles. You can email. You can go out in your local community. We're not in lockdown anymore. Go out into where you actually live and go meet other human beings face to face. Join a Chamber of Commerce meeting. Go to your local libraries. It sounds very old and boring, but libraries are going to have bulletin boards that you can put a brochure up or a flyer. You can host a class in person, host a master class, be a speaker at other opportunities as well. You can guest teach in other people's programs or memberships. There's so many different opportunities. Yes, social media helps because you're getting in front of so many people if you're actually getting in front of people. We know that the algorithm has changing values every single day. There are platforms that you don't own, so you don't own the contact information. You don't own that data and you can't really download it easily. So it's a great tool, but it does not work for everybody and it's not sustainable for a lot of small business owners.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the question is, when you talk about operations and having a system, like, doesn't every entrepreneur have to work in a system? And I'm asking because I've done this, right? I've done all of the things that you're talking about, and it took me a while to put things in my system together. So what kind of systems, and if you have systems, what do I need? What kind of tools does an entrepreneur need? Because starting out, everybody doesn't have the large wad of cash sitting around. So they're all struggling. Some people work full-time, some people work part-time, but they're still working in their business. And sometimes until the wee hours of the night, they're still working. So how do you ask entrepreneurs to figure that out, massage it so that it's working on its own?
Yeah, I love this. So there are two parts to it. First and foremost, the basics that we all need to have in some form, as simple as can be. You need some kind of email service that is not Google, that is not like a Chrissy@gmail.com. You need some kind of business email. You need some kind of payment processor so that you can get paid. And assuming that you're a service provider that gives one-on-one sessions or group sessions or things like that, you need a booking link. And those three things should be integrated. So it's your booking link should connect to your payment processor, should connect to an email, so it's all automated. So all you have to do is send me a link. I can book and pay and fill out the intake form that you need me to fill out. Those are the basics. Those can all be done pretty cheap. Like I think TidyCal is about $30 for forever uses. That's a booking link that can connect to a payment processor. Most payment processors are free minus a service charge. And then Gmail, I think, runs maybe $15 a month for a business. So that's pretty cheap. That's step one, is just to get those really simple bases covered. Step two is then automating it and creating SOPs. SOPs are standard operating procedures. They are things that if you're ever in corporate, you have seen or written or done something with an SOP. And a lot of entrepreneurs forget about that. An SOP is literally just going to be the directions of how do things get done. And you might think, but it's just me and my business. Why do I need that? When you can detail out exactly how things get done, you can visualize where the breaking points are. And it's going to let you know, oh, actually, I booked the session with somebody, but they never followed up with me. I need to put something in place here so that there's always a follow-up. So I'm not losing out on that revenue, that I'm not losing out on that opportunity to have that conversation with that person. That will take time, not necessarily money, but it's that kind of automation that's really going to let you see how you're spending your time and what can then be either improved upon, deleted, or given to someone else when you do have the time or the money to bring somebody else on board.
Like to any seasoned entrepreneur, this is just a basic, and most people have it. But let me ask you this, for those people who are already seasoned and they have been in business for a while. What are you seeing as a consultant and seeing, hey, you know what, this is not right, let's fix this? Well, so what's the common denominator there?
The workflows. I see a lot with the seasoned entrepreneurs that they hold so much in their brains, and it's easier for them to just do it themselves. There's this idea of like, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm just going to quick go in and do it. Or I don't have time to onboard somebody or train a new OBM or VA or podcast manager, whatever the role is. I can just do it myself. So there's two parts to that. One is there's some control issue there and some fear of giving up control to somebody else. And also, they don't actually have the systems built out to be able to say, hey, Munira, go read this 15-page document. Let me know what questions you have. So there's this struggle of they want to be doing less, but at the same time, they kind of don't want to be doing less because it's really comfortable for them to do all of the things all of the time. So that's the biggest thing, is they don't actually have the workflows and the automations built out because they're storing way too much in their brain and they're not using the technology that they've invested in. They're not using their CRM appropriately. They use it as like a dumping ground versus getting emails, getting follow-up reminders, putting in people's birthdays and sending a quick little, hey, happy birthday today. They're not really utilizing the tools that they have because they're relying on their brain way too much.
Okay, so I like that because I was there. Even, everything's, but I wasn't the one that didn't want to relinquish control. The problem was that I didn't have the revenue to relinquish control. I needed it income and nothing was coming in, but I was just shelling out a lot, but not having anything come in. And that's a lot of people's problems. So with all of this in place and no clients, what does one do?
So primarily it's going to be one of two things. I'm going to answer and I'm going to give you what it really is. So it's either going to be your revenue system. You don't have the right offers in place, or you don't have enough of the right offers in place. More on that in a second. Or your marketing. So when it comes to marketing, it's either going to be you need more eyeballs on your business, you need visibility, and or it's going to be that you need conversion. So if you're getting tons of people to see your social media posts or to read your emails and they're still not converting, then it's about figuring out how far are they getting? Are they getting to, okay, I know your name and I'm like not even opening the email because it's too spammy? Or are they reading the email and they're going, oh, this is interesting, but I don't quite see how it applies to me. So like, great, thanks for the email, but like delete. And that when you know where it's breaking, you can see, okay, I need to build more credibility. I need to give more value. I need to give more of a tie-in of what my email is about and why it applies to you, why you want to take action on it right now. So that's the marketing side. It's either visibility and or it's conversion. The thing that ends up actually being the root cause for a lot of people, we think it's marketing because marketing is fun, it's shiny, it's us talking about the thing that we love to do and it's exciting. It oftentimes comes down to you don't have a revenue system in place. So a revenue system is about having a couple of different ways to work with you. So a lot of people have one or two signature offers, right? I work with a lot of registered dietitians. They have one thing that they offer. Book 12 sessions with me and I'm going to help you work through your dietitian and nutrition needs. Except 12 sessions is a large time commitment and it's a pretty big chunk of change for a lot of people. So people might want to sign up and they just don't have the funds or they don't have the time to do it. So instead, you want to also create what I call stepping stone offers. They're smaller opportunities to work with you that build that know, like, and trust factor, that build that relationship between you and the client. And it's an easier yes for your client to say yes to because it's a lower risk. If your whole business is 12 sessions at $1,200, let's say, not everybody can do that. So instead, put in an offer that's maybe two sessions and an email exchange for $250. It gives a smaller risk and it's easier for people to say yes to. So that's...
I see what you're saying because not all children can bite. adult size food, right? They have to be mushy and, squishy and all that good stuff. So I understand all that. I mean, that's a very good analogy I came up with. But the fact is that, most people like to have a lot of money. I think, and being an entrepreneur and the niche navigator myself, what I have seen, now I'm going to add a little bit of advice also, is the fact that many people look at other people who are seasoned. They've paid and shelled out because they've learned from these people, and they think that this big chunk of change was going to do them good because I need a $10,000 month, and if I can get 10 people to give me $1,000 each, then I can hit that. Or it takes a lot to get me 10 people. I have to talk to 50 people to get 10 people. But how about I just raise my prices and talk to 10 people and get 4 and make my 10,000? So I think that's where the disconnect is, because nobody went from 0 to 10,000 a month. They had to scale up every single month. And I've talked to several different coaches out there as well, and they've said that they had to slide down sometimes and go up. And so entrepreneurship is a game like that. Do you agree?
Absolutely. It's this constant evolution of your offer, your business, your marketing, all of the things. And to that point, because I love that and I agree with you completely, the thing that I see come up for a lot of people there is, I put this price out there of $5,000. I can't slide it back. People are going to think that I'm no good, that something happened. They're going to lose trust in me. That's just your ego talking to you. Most people are not going to recognize that you lowered your price from 5 to 3. They're just not going to. And if they do, they're going to be excited about it because they want that offer. So I want to make that note of, you can change your prices. You don't have to say it has to keep going up and up and up. It's not a bad thing. Like, just go ahead, try it, see how it works. And you're collecting data. Everything we do in business is collecting data of what's working to get you towards your goal and what's not. It's not good or bad. It's data.
I love this. So you see, you've deciphered the fact that revenue and marketing and operations are big things. When the people come to you and you can pinpoint any of the 3, what's the biggest hiccup? Is it revenue or is it operations?
It's typically revenue, because most people don't think about revenue in their business other than it's the money I bring in and it's how I pay my rent or my mortgage or my kids' daycare. But revenue is actually a whole strategy. Like, you need a revenue system in place. I spent 7 years as a revenue manager for hotels where my whole job was revenue, go make us money. So for a lot of people, their operations need some help because it's clunky and it's messy and it's really manual. But operations is only going to help you save time, have a better client experience or customer experience. Operations is only going to improve something. If you don't actually have a revenue system in place, you don't have a whole lot to improve on. So it often is the lack of revenue options, diversity, that really causes people to have issues in their business.
It's a very fun, interesting conversation,
I'm glad.
No, this is because the thing is that most people, talk about this, that, and the other. They don't talk about the basics. And what you've done is held on to basics. When I teach as the niche navigator, what we can do, what I teach is that, what is it that you want? I mean, yes, you want to have a business, but what exactly are you going to sell? What widget are you going to sell? And we figure that out. And then again, we talk about marketing and we figure out the ideal client and all of that stuff. But that first step is very important. But then once you've done all that, you have to have your systems in place where you put it together, all of it. It's a puzzle, right? And mostly, and I tell people that when I teach people, is that there's a foundation. Everything that you do, every time you open up a box of Legos, there is a slab that they give you, a slab where things are built upon. They don't just give you the things and say, here, go make it. Every time you open a Lego box, there is some kind of a platform that has to be built upon. So this is the first step. And I like that. And then you have the second step that goes up there, but again, it has to have a platform. Now, last last piece of advice. I want to continue this conversation, but any last piece of advice for the listeners out there?
It's probably simpler than you think it is. Whether you are just starting out and you have an idea and you're like, ooh, I want to do this thing, or you've been in business a year and you're still like getting your feet under you, or you've been in business 7 years and you're ready to scale to that next dollar amount, that next team member, that next whatever. It is probably simpler than your brain is telling you that it is. So often as human beings, we like to complicate things and say it needs to be this 27-step funnel or this huge burn it down and build something fresh. Just pause, take a breath, really look at things, look at the data. It is simpler than your brain is telling you it is. Just go back to the basics, regardless of where you are. Just like you just said, it's always about that foundation that it's built upon. Don't get sucked up by the noise and the chaos and all of the things that your brain is telling you that it needs to be doing. Just go back to simplicity, because that is going to be so much easier and so much more enjoyable for you to do.
All right, perfect. Tell me how we can find you.
Yeah. So in the name of simplicity, everything in my business is branded to me. So website, Instagram, all of that is just my name, ChrissyMellinger.com. I've got an email list that goes out a couple of times a week with really good tips on revenue, on marketing systems, on operations. And then I do have a monthly masterclass on how to unlock time freedom as a CEO so that you can actually build these systems in place. So pop onto that masterclass, join my email list, and just send me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our episode on Munira's Musings. It's a very amazing foundational business system that we haven't talked complications, but may look complicated, but it's not, like Chrissy said. I hope today's conversation sparked a fresh idea, opened a new perspective, and simply encouraged you to see things a little differently. If you'd like to keep exploring stories like this, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you'll know that the new episode has released. Thanks for joining me today, and until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep turning those ideas into action. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Chrissy.